All of a sudden, I'm good.
Hello and welcome to Torn Tuesday here on the OneRing.net. I'm Chelsea.
Hello, and I'm Clifford. Welcome aboard, ladies and gentle hobbits. Welcome, welcome, travelers from distant lands.
Sorry we were a couple of moments behind schedule there, but I never arrive late or early.
I always blame it on the gremlin in the microwave.
Oh my God. I saw this ridiculous meme of a dog that looked like, literally wasn't photoshopped, a dog that looked like a gremlin the other day. And I just saw the photo first and I was like, why does that dog look like a gremlin? And then the meme said, do not add water. And I was like, oh my God. I'm so glad the rest of the internet also agrees with me.
Mogwai. Welcome to Mogwai Remembrance Day on the OneRing.net.
Remembrance Day? It's like the Holocaust?
It is Mogwai Remembrance Day tonight on Torn Tuesday. Yes, it is the OneRing.net, affectionately known as Torn.
And we are here
so
at Scum and Villainy Cantina, live in Hollywood, California.
Aren't we lucky to be here, as Ian McKellen would say.
Pipsquay said, hi, Cliff, Chelsea, and the ever-invisible Justin.
No,
so Justin even got a shout-out.
the invisible.
Invisible.
You might be sometimes
I like Invincible better. Yeah, that's good.
Hello, Ellen and friends. There's Brennan Marr.
I like this
Tiffany.
new chat monitor we have today. It's much bigger. I can see it. I don't feel like I'm 62 and squinting.
I'm doing very well. Daniel, it's good to see you, Dan. Our good friend, who's one of our Australian expatriate artists. He works down there right near the land of the long white cloud. Mr. Daniel Lewis, he's in the chat. You should see some of his Gondorian designs. He's a graphic designer and artist and illustrator, and very talented fellow. And hey, dude, eventually we're going to have you post some of your artwork in our community group. A reminder, check out the OneRing.net.
Eventually, why can't he do it now?
Yeah, right. Like we have a Facebook community group. You guys check it out and join. It is hoppin'. It's really, there's a party going on. It's really
cool.
Show your stuff there. Daniel, I'm gonna make you post your stuff now. I'm like peer pressuring him online to post his artwork now. Okay, he's never going to forgive me. That's hilarious.
So right before we started, I was just having a conversation with Cliff about Dark Crystal coming out next week, and you guys missed Cliff's excitement because we're like T-minus 9 days now until Dark Crystal.
I was just like, I'm a basket of castanets. I was just like that. I was, the Dark Crystal.
Like
please.
A Mexican jumping bean.
I'm like ready for the 10-hour marathon on August 30th. And we're having a big party at my house that will be, I'm having roast nebri and essence of Gelfling shots throughout the day. It's a 10-hour party because I'm totally going to binge this. I'm going to do something I've never done for an entire
You've
series.
Never binged a series?
I'll binge maybe 5 episodes at a stretch.
But not a whole thing.
Maybe I'll get 5 or 6 through at the most, but not like all 10 or 12.
All right.
Man, I don't know. I'm just not as young as I used to be.
I like that we say that, and I just made the comment of feeling 62, and now everyone in our chat room is telling me how much older they are than that.
Put this horse out to pasture.
No, everybody, we're all only as old as we feel inside, and I personally feel like I'm 92, so there's that.
No, most of the time I still feel like I'm 25, generally. I really do.
There you go. You do have a youthful energy that you exude.
You think?
Oh, wow. Absolutely.
That's what you get with eating, sugar corn pops every morning.
Oh, okay. Is that the trick?
That's the trick. That's the elixir of life, kids. It's like,
So sugar corn pops.
Eat your sugary cereals.
What about Fruit Loops? Lucky Charms?
Oh my God! Tell you the truth.
Count Dracula?
I was a marshmallow cereal addict when I was a child. Now maybe it explains the whole state that I'm in right now. But yes, it was all about Frankenberry and Lucky Charms. And
it was
Count
all about
Chocula.
Lucky Charms for me.
Who else?
Except I would only eat the marshmallows.
That's what I would do too.
I also really liked Oh, what was the cereal? Cocoa Puffs. And you'd pour
Oh,
your
yeah.
milk into it, but you'd sit long enough, and then
Yeah.
the milk would just become chocolate milk. Then I wouldn't eat the
Yeah.
Cocoa Puffs. I would just drink the milk out of the bowl and be like, chocolate milk.
There was a
I
cereal.
could have just made chocolate milk, but this was much more exciting to me.
I love that. You're so brilliant. And you know what? That became a big thing for kids in the 70s. There was Crazy Cow cereal. Remember that?
No, I don't.
Crazy Cow was a national brand.
Did it
only
moo?
70s children, because it made your strawberry milk or chocolate milk into exactly what you wanted.
Okay.
It fulfilled the kids' fantasy to skip the cereal and just go for chocolate milk. You know, it's like it was called Crazy Cow. You don't kids from the 70s. If you're online, I'm sorry, I'm dating myself again, but it's a thing. Were we just talking about the Dark Crystal and breakfast cereal?
Yes,
when we're
we
supposed
are.
to talk about
And-
the Lord
well,
of the Rings.
everybody else is talking about Dark
And-
Crystal and the party at your house now too. It's all right.
All right,
Our fellow nerds are with us. They understand.
Thank you. Listen, I know it does. We're way off the rails at the very opening of the
Look,
show.
People
but
also made chocolate milk like me with the Cocoa Puffs.
that's what it's all about. Thank you for these delicious childhood memories. I'm reliving
That's what we're
the
here for.
70s.
Well, I mean, somebody's with you on Frankenberry as well. So
Saturday morning cartoons and marshmallow cereals. Man. Anyways, and that probably explains the
but
ongoing
you know,
delirium
my
that I'm
actual
in right now.
my favorite cereal though was actually Frosted Flakes.
Not bad. You know,
Yep.
it was really bad.
What?
My brother would add sugar to his
Oh my
sugar
God.
frosted flakes. He would pile on. I swear to God. I love you, Sean. I really do. I'm
Well, like,
telling you, brother.
my dad always
Yes.
wanted me to eat Wheaties, and I was just like, I would just coat Wheaties in sugar, and I was like, just buy me Frosted Flakes. It's the same thing.
It's
Like,
true.
then I don't have to put
true.
the effort of scooping the sugar onto my Wheaties.
It's Ellen. I'm sorry. Ellen's apologizing. She doesn't remember that. It's nuts. Now here's the thing. Okay. There's a reason to this madness, I'm sure. But before we go completely off the rails, we want to invite everyone to welcome to our live stream chat, where you get to respond with us in a variety of ways. So we've got the platforms running, including YouTube Live, Facebook Live. We're on Twitter, Periscope, and there's even a hotline 530-64-FRODO. That's for Frodo. For Frodo. Right? So eventually we're going to have a trivia contest, and we have a delightful prize to give away, believe it or not.
And so you're going to be calling that hotline number. So if you don't know it, write it down, because we're going to give away something on air today.
Yeah. See this? It's beautiful Legolas. Look at this
Yes.
Legolas poster. And this is, let's see. Oh, yeah.
Jerry
This is
Vanderstelt.
Jerry Vanderstelt. All right, Mr. Jerry Vanderstelt has generously given us this gift. This is a mini poster of Legolas from The Hobbit. But which of the 3 Hobbit films does it say on the tiny bottom print? Is it?
I can't
Does
tell
it say
what
the
that
Hobbit
says.
trilogy? Let's see. Yeah, it says the Desolation of
in the
Smaug.
middle. I was looking at the signature going, I have
Desolation
no
of
idea.
Smaug.
Yes.
So and it's signed and autographed.
Looking in the wrong place.
The OneRing.net. So this is going to be a prize. We're giving it away, and we'll get there eventually. We're going to do a high class. We're going to turn this into a high class joint here at Scum and Villainy tonight. We're going to do a high class trivia contest, and it'll be multi-layered trivia. It won't be anything easy.
That's multi-layered trivia. That's intense.
It'll be 2 parts.
Seems like we need the rest of our show for that.
It'll be-
We've only
no.
got 40 minutes left.
We'll do it. We'll manage, and it'll be wonderful. And enjoy, guys. Enjoy this contest, and it's 530-64-FRODO. In the meantime, we have news. We have updates. Look, we talked about this on Twitter, and I mean, this is how it's going down. Talking about Amazon's approach to Tolkien. This is the only news that's in the air, and it is.
I just had a really weird moment when you said that.
I mean, this is what people are talking about on Reddit, on our community boards, all over. Everyone, even in the news, all kinds of news outlets are really deep in the thickets now with realizing that the limitations of Amazon's rights means something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. There are no third age stories to be represented on screen. No first age stories. Amazon Studios has the rights only to the second age of Middle-earth. Where does that exist? Within Tolkien's books. That's in the back pages of The Return of the King. It's in the appendices. It's in the appendix. So we were talking about this online, and it is no surprise that there's some contention in this conversation, but maybe let's just remind everyone. what Amazon bought was a deal from Warner Brothers that included all the rights to what they had, which was the Saul Zaentz deal. That was the Saul Zaentz deal that Professor Tolkien made when he was alive. And that's how simply we can connect the dots. Amazon, Warner Brothers, Saul Zaentz, J.R.R. Tolkien. Those are the 4 degrees of separation in that line of licensing. It includes The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, but in this specific case, Amazon's new show can have limited access to other materials, as we've seen on this beautiful digital map, which John Howe and Tom Shippey were talking about most recently in interviews. And a lot of that stuff has hit the news waves as well. Mr. Shippey's honest analysis of what the Tolkien estate will and will not allow to be covered out of the Second Age materials. Okay? The reason why the Second Age is included in the original Lord of the Rings deal that J.R.R. Tolkien made when he was alive, because all that Second Age material was in the appendices. Excuse me. It's all in there. Remember, the Akalabeth at the end of the Silmarillion was published posthumously about 4.5 years after Tolkien himself died by the strenuous efforts of his son Christopher Tolkien. So all that other goody goodness, the real meat and potatoes of what happens in Numenor, is not something that they have the license to. Who's that?
I said, potatoes.
I know. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. It's true. Now, just people shouldn't be...
This made me a little hungry. I'm sorry.
I don't think people should be confused by this, because we've been talking about this for months. You know, they have the rights to the Second Age, and Mr. Tom Shippey was talking about that. And
people are going to be confused by it, though, because not everybody, unfortunately, tunes into our show every week to know that we've been talking about it every week.
I know, but you know...
Unfortunately, that means that everybody out there needs to share the video right now with all of your friends so we can educate more people and welcome them to this community.
All right. People who've been complaining and critical of the kind of coverage that they're getting from the OneRing.net, whatever they're complaining about on Reddit, hoo-ha, look, all that stuff about young Aragorn is not at all something that we were deliriously wrong about. In defense of the OneRing.net, we were right about that. The OneRing.net was always right at that moment in time when we said it was going to be Amazon's got the rights to young Aragorn and that's what they're going to do for the first season. It's because that's what they were actively doing. Maybe it was a side offshoot thing that Warner Brothers was developing at the time, and Amazon acquired the rights to it. And there were pitches being delivered all around town. There were pitches being delivered from vendors, designers, makeup artists, visual laser scan designers, people who do post-production. What were they asked to do their pitches on? Young Aragorn. I mean, this is a liquid process. Development of a TV series, development of a thing takes years and years, and it is liquid, it's mercurial, and it's no surprise really that it changes a lot as things get developed. And if...
Oh, did you see this? That one of the panels at FanX in Salt Lake this year is all about young Aragorn?
Yeah, I'd love it. It is not to say that we were wrong. It was just to say that Amazon, changed their focus, and that doesn't mean that the young Aragorn thing is completely on the side.
Basically, all it means is that they were having
show?
a bunch of pitch meetings, and for a while, young Aragorn was in the lead, and then somebody came in and went, "Wait, guys, I have an idea." And it blew everybody out of the water, and they changed directions and felt like it would work better.
Yeah, and put the other stuff...
That's the only thing that happened.
And the stuff that Warner Brothers had already been working on was absorbed into Amazon's shelf and put in what they call turnaround or development hell. So there it goes. And while something else becomes the new focus...
They shelved it.
You know? So it's like, here we go. The stuff that they've licensed for the Second Age is still coming from that original license with The Lord of the Rings. And the content in the back pages. So, just to clarify, Amazon has rights to the Second Age content from the appendices. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. And here's the thing. The Lord of the Rings content might belie all the other stuff that you see that is on the map, and you see that map is not exactly in the appendix. It's not in Appendix B. It's in Unfinished Tales. Well, that's because Amazon has the ability to go to the Tolkien estate, and they have this existing liquid interactive relationship saying, can we do this? Can we have the rights to those words? And they say, yes, you can have those things and those things from Unfinished Tales. Not the whole content of the whole book, but you can have that stuff. And if they veto it, they veto it. If the family estate says we like it, then Amazon can go ahead and do it, and they put it on their map. But still, it's not the whole license. They have limited access to some of these things and dabblings and these other from Unfinished Tales, and perhaps from the material at the end of the Silmarillion. But at any time that the writers and producers propose something that is too out of line, as Tom Shippey said, that would alter the existing history of the Second Age, nope, that's off limits, and the family says veto, which is quite an unusual balance and trade-off that doesn't usually exist. When somebody buys an intellectual property, then they get to adapt it and control it. Disney or Universal, Sony. Oh, what happened with Marvel and Sony today?
Oh, that's big news.
Anyway,
I literally just saw that right before we went on air and was like,
Me too.
what?
Me too.
For those of you
switch
that
channels.
don't know, just quickly,
Quickly.
Sony and Disney have been in negotiations over Spider-Man forever. And apparently terms were up to renegotiate contracts, and they have not found an agreement between Sony and Disney, which means that Sony is going to retain the rights to Spider-Man, effectively removing Spider-Man from the MCU potentially.
I hate to say it, but sometimes these conversations are about legal documents and real
And there is
technical
that.
language in the licensing agreements.
But in our defense of everything about young Aragorn in relationship to this,
Exactly.
I was like, this is literally, that article came out, I think I saw it from IGN, and it's all over the internet. But I guarantee you, by the end of the week, they'll have come to terms with something, and that entire rumor that everyone's now talking about of like, Spider-Man's leaving the MCU will be false. Give it a couple of weeks.
Do you know that was a seismic reaction online today from fandom? That is what fan community does. That's interesting. That's how fandom makes things happen.
Yeah, that's exactly how they've been putting this to practice. So social media has had so much power on the content of TV shows and films that we get. I
Yep.
was like, everybody talking about Stranger Things just guarantees that Netflix is going to make more Stranger Things. There's been shows that have
Yep.
gotten canceled, like Lucifer on Fox, that the fan base was so passionate and rabid for that Netflix went, well, that's a huge audience. We'll take Lucifer. And now Lucifer's a Netflix show. You know,
Yes, it
I was
is.
like, and there's same thing happened with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. When Fox canceled it, NBC picked up 9-9. When Last Man Standing left ABC, Fox picked up Last Man Standing, all because of people reacting on social media.
Intriguing. Now, if anything gets weird with the first season of Amazon's series and the fandom reacts in a certain way, then the producers and the writers of the show are going to respond to that fandom, and they'll get to recalibrate the second season of the show and make things perhaps, hopefully, better or perhaps more informed. But you can't ask for a production licensing relationship that could be more weird and more dynamic, because I've never heard of one being like this, where the intellectual property has veto power from a controlling estate. That is something I've never... Usually, when you buy the rights to something, you, the producer, have the rights to it part and parcel. And that's the kit and caboodle.
I think it's really
that's it, the
incredible
whole thing.
that the Tolkien estate micromanages everything with a fine-tooth comb.
I wonder if they are, though. I wonder if that's a process of approvals, or is it like, are they really
It's definitely
overseeing?
a process of approvals, but it still has to go through them. And the executive command to only give certain things to places comes from within their reach. It might have been a ruling that they gave before Amazon ever even came to them.
Right.
You know, I was
Right.
like, and it's one of those things where they're being protective of the property until somebody
Oh.
proves what they can do with it.
You know what? I
It's-
had a brainwave. That might be one of the reasons why HBO and Netflix all both said no.
Yeah.
They said no
Yeah.
to that deal with the Tolkien estate.
Yeah, because
And
they
Amazon
wanted
said
more
yes.
that they couldn't get.
And Amazon said, yes, we'll do
It's
the deal.
also like you
Okay,
prove your
okay.
worth and then they open up more to you. Like there's tons of brands I know that, you know, maybe they want the Star Wars license, but they can't get Star Wars, so they work with Disney on other things until Disney goes, hey, we like what you do. You can work with Lucasfilm now.
Indeed. In the YouTube chat, Mythical One says, I think, quote, limited access on a case-by-case basis, unquote, is an understatement if there are 5 seasons of the Second Age that has to maintain continuity with the Legendarium. And that's true. It has to maintain at least large chunks of a Calibeth. I think he's suggesting large chunks of the Calibeth, which is one of the closing chapters of the Silmarillion, would be required for that continuity. Now, our producer in the background, Justin, has just reminded us that they have withdrawn from a 5-season commitment and are now only committed to 2 full seasons up
Wait,
front.
what? I never heard that. When did that happen?
Is that true, Justin? Is Amazon committed to only 2 upfront seasons now? So far?
Wow. Well, I think that's actually a lot better of a choice for Amazon to just make sure that this is the right fit for them.
So it's a test the waters thing now. So
also, just to make sure that like they can pull off 5 seasons with the content that they have access to. Like 2 seasons, they definitely can do. Maybe we need to see how those seasons shake up for them to be able to know that they've got the wherewithal in every direction of it.
It is a liquid thing. It's a thing where they can, as I said, get a chance to start reworking and rewriting and recalibrating a second season, depending upon the way the litmus test of how we are the consumers, we are the
which
reason
means
why
that
they're even making
we,
it. So,
us, and all of you watching and
Yes.
chatting with us need to be vocal about this series before, during, and right after you finish
yes.
watching.
We welcome that. We welcome that on all of our on our community boards on Facebook and on our message boards on theonering.net. Still going strong after all these years.
I
And
like
certainly
that
on
my Siri
Twitter.
just decided to turn on and record everything we were saying and talk to me.
Do you know what? There's a Black Mirror episode
Right?
going on. At the
I think Amazon tapped into the phone and just kidding.
Okay, Josiah Rises says Netflix would have screwed Lord of the Rings over so badly. Maybe? I wonder. I hope that's not the case for the Jim Henson universe. I hope that Netflix at least does something right with the Jim Henson universe.
Well, I mean,
But
you
I don't
and
know
me
how they
saw
would
the
have
first
handled
episode.
Yes, well.
Do you feel like they did it well?
Yes, actually, I have. I'm not supposed to talk. Are we still under an embargo?
Technically until it drops next week, but they said we're allowed to talk about it in vague terms. So
In vague terms?
And that we're allowed to do fan reactions. So you can tell me whether you liked it or not. You just can't talk about what happens in the episode.
I really, really, really liked what I saw, and I was only minorly distracted by the camera work.
Okay.
Jim Henson favored a lot of static images. He co-directed with Frank Oz, of
Right.
course, who was famously, the puppeteer of Yoda. And
And his
himself,
Miss Piggy.
a wonderful, accomplished director on his own. Frank and Jim did a lot of static photography and their compositions in The Dark Crystal are very meditative and very still sometimes. And in this episode, I just noticed that the camera was constantly
They're sweeping.
and moving.
Yeah.
There was
But I actually really liked it,
there was-
though.
I mean,
Like this is
felt like
a
the
new
camera-
generation of Dark Crystal.
but
We
yeah,
haven't
but-
had Jim hasn't been with us for like 30 years.
Yeah, but I mean, there I really was just distracted a little bit by the constant whooshing and swooping.
But
The
you know what?
camera's Always moving
I
around.
could be
like-
wrong, but I think that was just a introduction to the world of Thra for the
Yeah?
first episode, and after that we won't see it so much because one, Dark Crystal is being introduced to an entire new generation right now.
Yes.
I was like in a generation that's not familiar with the film and won't go
Yes.
watch the film until maybe after they see the series.
I was immediately intrigued. Most of all, I was intrigued by the royal politics and the extra layers of what was going on in that story.
Yes.
The multitude of characters, the geopolitics, the different tribes of Gelflings. I'm like,
To
whoa,
go
this
back
world
a
has
little
been,
bit,
like,
everyone in the chat
enriched.
room's like, wait, you guys saw it? Cliff and I got to see the first episode at San Diego Comic-Con.
I thought I was under an embargo. That's why I never said anything.
So we saw it a month ago. Just the first episode, though. We haven't seen anything beyond that.
I would just beg for, at the very end of episode 1, when the camera became a little bit more disciplined, instead of just swooping around like,
Which I think that's going to set the tone for the rest of it. I could be wrong. I think that will set the tone for the rest of the series.
I hope. Yeah. Well, hey, I was amazed at the puppets and the design and the whoa.
The voice casting is phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, it was. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
here it was. This is like a grand scale re-entry into the world of Thra, and oh my gosh, wow. Beware the darkening, Deet. The darkening affects everything it touches. Oh my God, I'm sounding like that talking tree.
But yes, before we go past our embargo of any kind,
okay.
We
Well,
both
that was in the trailer.
we both very much loved the first episode, and we're excited to see more. And we will move on from that point. But back to the conversation at hand. Somebody was worried that Netflix would have screwed Lord of the Rings. Netflix has a whole gauntlet of stuff they're working on. The stuff that they've been turning out right now is the stuff that's easy to shoot, easy to edit, and turns around quickly. But according to what I learned in the press conferences for Dark Crystal, they've been working on this series for 5 years.
Wow, yeah.
And it took 5 years of production and filming and post-production before we're finally getting it. So they're taking their time. They know what they're doing. And I think if this is one step into that direction of world building for Netflix, that there has to mean that there's some other content coming from them.
I would imagine. You can also imagine that acquiring an intellectual property as big as Tolkien involves a pyramid structure of things that is not just the main story at the top, but ancillary things. Everybody would scoff at the idea. There are people online who literally are like, yuck, at the idea. I looked at our Twitter feed when we were just making these little comments about Merry and Pippin having their own little detective series. Well, we've been joking about that for a couple of years. Okay, Merry and Pippin having a little side series.
Or just some sort of buddy sitcom. I'd be down.
I'm not saying that I'm advocating for that. It was just a joke when we made that joke. But some people should not be surprised if these types of auxiliary shows on other layers start to appear underneath the main chunk of we're doing Second Age and Lord of the Rings heavy lore. And then another side project that could be relative to another part of a license if it gets extended to them. If they get permission from the Tolkien estate, they might as well develop other programming. It's all going to be included in the license anyways, right? So don't be surprised, kids, if something weird and goofy or offbeat, like young Aragorn, suddenly might be appeared as an offshoot.
I think this is Amazon dipping their toe into a very large world, and if they do it well, and all of us like it, there's no limit, I think, to what they'll do next. Because if they prove their worth to the Tolkien estate, I was like, then Tolkien estate might give them access to those other stories, and Amazon might get the first right of refusal. I can't get words out today.
That's right. Right.
For all of these other stories that we want to tell, or seen, or actually the ones that have been told that we want to see actually manifest into a visual format.
I'm intrigued by the cut down from 5 seasons to 2 seasons.
Honestly, I think it's a smart move. I think 5 was very ambitious. And I think they might still have a plan for 5. I think I'm going to give a great show example. There is a TV show on NBC right now called Manifest. Mm-hmm. The creator and executive producer for Manifest has a 5-season plan, but he was bought for 1 season at a time. But when he went into his pitch meeting at NBC, and I actually talked to him about this, he told them that, I know how this starts. I know what happens in every season and how it ends. It cannot be longer than 5 seasons. Here is my plan. And they got on board, but it's season by season basis based on if he gets the viewers,
Right.
I think that's probably Amazon's approach of we want to do 5 seasons, but it's going to be based on the viewers.
And that's kind of the story of what happened to Sense8 and how the Wachowskis had to deal with the situation when they were world building a series that was going to go much further, and then abruptly it wasn't carried anymore. And then after a fan response, an avalanche of fan feedback, they brought Sense8 just back to resolve the show with a mini season and a closure.
Somebody just had a really funny idea for a spin-off series. So Orion's Angel just said in our YouTube chat, I want to see Gandalf's wizarding workout. Get in shape for that 4-day journey across Moria. That's amazing.
Funny. You know what? I'm telling you, after the Second Age, there's so much other stuff that other fans would also like to see connected to the thread of the universe, which includes the Witch King of Angmar coming and overthrowing the northern kingdoms, you know? And the appearance of hobbits, and how the hobbits even
how they appeared and just how they come to be.
how they migrated into the area from the other lands of the river folk where Smeagol and Deagol once lived. How about seeing the migration of the hobbits and them settling in the Shire, and then all of a sudden after they get settled, they get caught up in the conflict with the Witch King and they have to come to the aid of the King of Arnor. All that great stuff
we had
Third Age, man.
I mean, this isn't told necessarily anywhere, but what if we got our own wizarding school, if you will, where we got to see how they learned how to be the wizards that they are?
You know what? Ultimately, I want to take a deep Silmarillion dive into the Anulindale, which could be played out like the mythology, like Clash of the Titans level of, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like the gods, goddesses, and Melkor, and the angelic beings. We can have these Maiar identified as they are Maiar many, many thousands of years before they will ever become wizards, and we'll know which ones are associated with Kuranir, Saruman, which ones are associated with Mithrandir, Gandalf.
All of that I would love to see.
Alatar and Palando.
I mean, just a series about the Maiar in general that's centered around that would be incredible.
And it could be gods and goddesses type storytelling on that, like, level. I'm
literally
all about
my
that.
brain just exploded a little bit.
What do you think? See,
it's a great idea.
So these guys, hey, here we are on the OneRing.net, Amazon. We're giving you our best ideas. As a fandom. Fans talk about this and throw out these ideas all the time, especially in our community, like they have been for 20 years, man. The thing is,
Orion's Angel just said at that point to my wizarding idea, it just becomes Harry Potter. Okay, work with me here for a second. Wow. So I found out that Merlin was a Slytherin and is connected into the Harry Potter universe. What if somehow the Tolkien, like, Middle-earth connection, like, what if we found out Gandalf was a Ravenclaw? Like, wouldn't that just be amazing? I'd be down for that crossover, or just find out that history. It would be really hilarious. Like Saruman and Gandalf in wizarding school. I'm sorry.
Well,
that's just fun for me.
When I figured wizarding school in Middle Earth, I thought the closest thing we would get would be to seeing them as Maiar spirits before they became wizards.
Oh, no, I was totally with you when you were saying that. I just, when somebody brought up that at that point it becomes Harry Potter, I think if you go into the history of the schools for Hogwarts, you'll find out that there's a lot of famous wizards that you wouldn't connect to Harry Potter that J.K. Rowling has actually connected into the universe, which is kind of funny.
I want to see Cate Blanchett as Galadriel studying under Ole, the creator of the dwarves, the father of the dwarves.
Yeah.
He is one of the Valar who is in taught other elves. You know, she was related to Fëanor. Remember? Okay? I'm just saying.
Gandalf gets an F.
That's funny. Yes, I've got to do it. Okay, you did a mythical one. You made the joke. It's there. When Gandalf gets an F on his O levels in Istari history, Eru says, "You shall not pass." There you go. We did it. We did it.
Kid show, Bjorn's Magic Garden.
Radagast is totally a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, he is, Leah. He would totally be that. Totally.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Right. But anyway, I mean, anyways, the thing is, why not have a little bit of dipping your licensed toe into the waters with certain parts of the Silmarillion, if it's really successful, and if there's a much bigger response from an audience that's going to be there, then there might be, difficult to predict, but there might possibly be a negotiating leverage that Amazon can say, well, Tolkien Estate, let us get our toes into more of Unfinished Tales, and let's find out what happened with Celeborn and Galadriel. Let's get a beautiful, romantic drama set within a higher backdrop of Middle-earth, but bring it all down to the personal level about just those two and what happened in their lives.
And then on the flip side, if we're going to get a
side appear, I mean, right?
If we're going to get a romantic drama, which I'm all for Celeborn and Galadriel, on the flip side, can we have a romantic comedy with Rosie and Samwise?
Yes. Okay. Rosie and Samwise? You mean like at a living room comedy where the camera's like, you know...
Yeah, like an actual sitcom.
I love it.
Or it doesn't have to be a sitcom, or it could be a romantic comedy, like a Sandra Bullock movie, like 2 Weeks Notice or something.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Actually, I'm totally keen on, you know, the Hardy Boys analogy for Merry and Pippin turning into the Hardy Boys of the Shire. I can't tell you. And there's nothing that tickles my fancy more, even though I know it's never going to happen. But, don't hate us for having fun ideas. I mean,
Nobody's
guys,
hating us. People are going, yes, Chelsea, yes.
yeah, they are. Yeah, they are, yes. But, man, you should see the people complaining. And I don't need any more of this, guys. You guys on Reddit, we don't need it. It's not helpful because the young Aragorn thing was accurate at the time, but now it's the second age and things just changed and whatever. It doesn't mean anything except the chain of licensing happened the way it historically happened, including everything that Warner Brothers had in development, everything that Peter Jackson shot, every design that they did for costumes.
Sorry, the chat room is cracking me up.
Everything that Saul Zentz did with the animation studios in the 70s, all that stuff that Tolkien sold the rights to, it's all this continuance.
Before it jumps off the screen, John Ortiz, I could see Sam and Rosie on the Hallmark Network. Absolutely. That's totally what we're talking about. And then we've got dialogue. Sam walks in. Honey, I'm home. Rosie, who's honey?
Who's honey?
Oh, it's too. You guys are cracking me up. I love it.
Everybody would say yes to another side spin-off series about the history of Rohan and how the Eorlingas, the Eorith, the
Mary
Eotheod.
and Pippin as Hufflepuffs? No, Pippin's closer to like a Slitherpuff, if anything.
Is that what? What?
Pippin, I like. If I'm a Slytherin, Pippin's a Slytherin. Absolutely.
Wow, I don't know if Pippin could be. You think Pippin could be a Slytherin?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, maybe.
Frodo Gryffindor, maybe.
I might have thought Pippin would have been more of a Gryffindor on his own. Really.
Interesting.
Yeah, really, but I think
where do we put Samwise?
Samwise is definitely a Hufflepuff.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too.
And
yep,
Frodo's
a gazillion % Hufflepuff Samwise.
and Frodo, without a doubt, is a Ravenclaw.
Oh, interesting.
Frodo's a
I like
Ravenclaw.
this. Sarah just said
Just
Mary and
saying.
Pippin are more like Fred and George. I can totally see that. The Weasleys.
Why not? Why
Yeah,
not?
absolutely.
But, if you want to get another side, a little spin-off series, the history of Rohan and the Eotheod who descended down from the rivers, the northern river vales of the Misty Mountains in Rovanion, over across the edge of the wild, to the east of Moria, the east of the Misty Mountains, and they would be friends with who? The shape-shifting people of Beorn.
Mm-hmm.
So we could see the relationship of the Horse Lords as they, had friendships with the Beornings and the early shapeshifters, and then traveled down and inherited and fought for the lands of Rohan. And how about the building of Helm's Deep? Everyone wants to see all that Third Age stuff. They really do.
There's so much we haven't
Eventually.
explored in the Third Age. There's plenty from the Second Age I want to see. I want to see dragons. We have all of these stories about what dragons used to do and used to be, and I want to see it.
I imagine there are some dragons in the Second Age. Yes, there are. There are. Not much, but there's some. There's references to them.
There's plenty of references up in the north.
Yeah, the dragons, the great beasts. Even Thranduil got his face all mushed up, and he takes his glamour off.
Dragons used to be a problem.
Yes. I thought that was an interesting invention. That was a very, very interesting invention of the Desolation of Smaug that doesn't get talked about very much. That Thranduil is using his magic to wear a glamour, to hide how hideously scarred he was by dealing with a dragon. That's really intriguing to me, anyways. And it's kind of a Neil Gaiman type of thing. Kind of. It's like, I don't think that Tolkien would have, done something like that. But anyways, hey, Sauron and his influence on the elves and the forging of the Rings of Power, that's a huge chunk that ends the Silmarillion. In fact, the last chapter of the Silmarillion is literally of the Rings of Power and the Third Age. And they're not doing the license to Third Age stuff, just Second Age stuff. However, some of those materials, some of those pages in that chapter are relevant to Second Age Sauron as Anatar, the giver of gifts. So, who knows? They're trying to get this stuff together, and I imagine that dealing with the Tolkien estate, on a case-by-case basis, they're getting permission to use those other bits.
Someone's asking if you know the name of the dragon that is supposed to be Smaug's mother.
No, I do not know. I didn't know that Smaug had
A mother?
a next
I mean,
of
he
kin.
he had to come from somewhere.
No, I didn't know he had identified his mother.
He didn't just
or
pop
his
into the
father
air.
at all.
Do I need to give
No.
you the birds and the bees talk later?
No, you
About
don't.
dragons? No.
No. Oh my God. I don't know who laid that egg. Smaug, I don't know who laid that egg. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's really cool. Someone in our chat room said, speaking of Fred and George from Harry Potter, the twins, she got to meet the actors who played them this weekend at Silicon Valley Comic Con. That's fun.
That's excellent.
Somebody else says they'd really like a Dwarves Third Age series. I agree. We do not have enough.
Totally
For
not.
me, I don't want a Dwarves series or an elf series. I would like elves and dwarves to see their relationship. That you see how Gimli and Legolas are so much like, we used to be people that talk to each other, but we're not now. I want to see what they used to be. Like,
Yeah, exactly. All right, now here's the thing. Before the show is over,
Daenerys is not the name of Smaug's mother.
that's funny. Thanks, Shad.
But that's hilarious, Shad.
Shad, thank you. That was a good one. You guys, I need to get the trivia contest together for the poster.
Okay,
I
well,
have to get the trivia
so
together.
yeah,
give
you
me-
got
I'll
15
let you-
minutes.
I'm gonna let you.
You're gonna let me just talk to people while you
Well,
figure this out?
You know what I just found out today?
What'd you find out?
That all this Warner Brothers content, which is HBO,
Yes.
is together going to be repackaged on HBO Max as a new streaming service that they're offering.
Are they combining Cinemax with HBO? Is that what that is?
Is
Because Cinemax,
Cinemax
and HBO are the same company.
HBO, which will include Cinemax and also everything that Warner Brothers had, including their library and DC and
So Warner Brothers is making their own Disney Plus, is what you're telling me.
and Cartoon Network and all the content from Adult Swim.
Wow, direct competition for Disney Plus.
HBO Max is going to be doing all that stuff.
So
was
everybody's
all Warner
basically
Brothers.
pulling all of their content from Netflix. So Netflix has really got to jump on their original content, which I think they saw coming a couple years ago, which is why it's beefed up. Amazon's already been focused on that, and that's fine because most of their stuff is like renting stuff, like rent this movie. And they do like season passes for TV shows, and you can add on other things, and Amazon gets a cut. But Hulu will be fun because Hulu's owned by Disney,
Yes.
majority share, and Disney is rebranding Hulu to be the edgier Disney content. So like the Orville's moving there, and they have a whole series of they're doubling their slate next year. I know a lot of what's coming, but I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it. But it's really high powered. So that's really fascinating that HBO Max is just going to come in and directly compete. Like I
are.
wonder if this means that we might see the end of Netflix, or if Netflix can save themselves with original programming. It's very interesting.
I wonder. I've also saw some data that was broadcast today that 61% of individuals are getting their content now from streaming services, while only 32% are still watching cable.
Okay, so what about the other 8% of that?
They're on
Nothing at all.
and they're on direct antenna. They're on
Oh, okay.
antenna.
All right. Wow, people still doing the antenna system. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only have streaming. I haven't had any kind of cable provider in over 15 years.
Me neither. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been ages. Yes.
All right, Cliff's getting ready for
There
trivia.
we
So
go.
while he's getting ready for trivia, I'm just going to talk to all of you fine folks that are joining us today. This trivia will be for this gorgeous Legolas poster, this artwork that we're going to give away. And you're going to, if you have the answer, you're going to call our hotline, which is normally scrolling like up here somewhere. So yeah, as soon as Cliff has that ready, just be ready to dial. You might want to have the number like pre-typed into your phone. And in the meantime, we're going to talk about other things. So Gossip of the Green Dragon, done just between me and you guys.
Gossip and the Green Dragon. Okay, yes, totally. That's-
So
sorry, give me just one quick second.
in 1 week, besides the Dark Crystal dropping, Carnival Row is also dropping, which I've also seen the first episode for Carnival Row. And
Oh, you have?
I
Okay, what's your
have.
fan impression of that?
I am all about Carnival Row. This show is beautifully shot. The political agenda of the show is amazing and set in such
Really?
it deals with a lot of immigration and racism issues, but in a fantastical mythical creature setting. And I also just the costuming and the makeup is just I want it all. I was like, can I be a fairy? I'd like to be a fairy.
Oh.
But yeah, so that comes out the same day as Dark Crystal. So while Cliff is binge watching all of Dark Crystal, I might
God.
have to be home going one episode of Dark Crystal, one episode of Carnival Row, one episode of Dark Crystal. Like, it's gonna be a crazy weekend next weekend. Let's see what somebody says. Carnival Row looks awesome. It looks good going to a screener this week. Yeah, they're doing a big premiere on Hollywood for Carnival Row tomorrow night, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, so that's I finished
be
No
too.
Good Nick. Has anybody been watching No Good Nick? Sam Ashton? No, I combined his character name and his real name. Sean Astin's new sitcom with Melissa Joan Hart. I was like, it's a very cute classic sitcom format. It's a Netflix original, so if you don't have Netflix, you can't see it. It's about a con artist kid, basically, that her family was destroyed by this. Her and her dad had a family restaurant. Across the street was another family who had a restaurant, and the family took out their business in a way that the dad made some shady moves trying to keep his business afloat and got caught and got thrown in jail. And she ended up in a foster system, and she becomes this insane con artist that ends up tricking this other family, which is Sean and Melissa's family, into believing that she's like a long lost relative that's been abandoned. Yeah, it's well done. It's hilarious. A lot of great physical comedy. Sean's awesome. And Justin's yelling from the back. It doesn't get good until episode 5. It definitely takes a slow build on the show. Like, I started to watch it and was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. And then all of a sudden it hit an episode where I couldn't stop watching, which, I mean, the same thing happened to me with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I just started watching Nine-Nine a month ago. And I was like, the first 5 or 6 episodes, I was like, I mean, I guess it's kind of funny. And then suddenly I found myself being like, wait, the episode can't end there. What happens next? Who's the new captain? Like, yeah.
My goodness. Okay, now I'm sorry to take us a minute here to do this, because every time I try to pull something up, you wouldn't believe it. I got pulled into a website that had an active grid, and you have to answer all the questions to get through them all to get to the end. Are you kidding?
That happens more and more lately. It's very frustrating.
No.
Somebody says that are only going to have time to watch The Dark Crystal because they're starting up college next Monday. First of all, welcome to college. I had a great experience through both of the schools that I attended, and that surprisingly, I felt like I had more time in college for anything than I did anywhere else. But I'm glad you are prioritizing The Dark Crystal because that's going to be a great show. When season 1 of Amazon's Lord of the Rings show hits, will Amazon servers crash with the volume of bingers? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to get the massive volume that they're expecting because I think a lot of people are going to wait to even watch it until other people are talking about it. I think the amount of people that'll watch it will probably match Good Omens and some of their other shows that they've recently launched. I think Amazon can handle it. They're not like Disney, who I'm fully expecting Disney Plus when it launches to have all of the issues on November 12th.
Got it. Okay, I have our trivia. All right, this
Dun,
is it.
dun, dun.
We have it. So, and this is it. Okay. And you guys know the numbers 530-64.
FRODO.
And what we're giving away this evening is this beautiful, beautiful portrait of Legolas that Jerry Vanderstelt did for us and gave to theonering.net. It's been autographed by the artist himself. It is suitable for framing and placing up in your boudoir. So you can always have Leggy looking over you with his jealous eyes.
Ooh la la.
Because you like a dwarf and you're not supposed to, because you're a pretty elf girl and you're not supposed to go near that dwarf. So here's Leggy, and his jealous eyes looking at you. No, actually, I'm just kidding. This is actually kind of awesome. I mean, there's a fluidity and motion and action in that portrait of Legolas, and he is the prince of the woodland realm. And I'm sorry to be making light of it, but we're going to ask a question.
Yep, and we got to be quick about it because we got 8 minutes left of the show.
First person to text the name of this person's sword, and you got to text, and I'll receive the answer right here, and I will respond to the first person who gets it right.
I love that somebody's probably already texting the sword.
Name.
And we haven't even asked the question.
King Theoden's sword. It has a name. Everybody knows that
Go.
Glamdring is Gandalf's sword.
Well, don't give it away because somebody might have typed that.
Don't type it in the live chat. Send it to 53064FRODO.
Andrew, your spouse is a wise person then, yes.
And you'll be the winner of the poster.
Also, somebody earlier was talking about if they were wondering if some of these announcements were going to happen at D23 this weekend.
And this is it. Thank you. You got it now. You're the winner. Okay.
Oh, we have
You're
a
the number
winner.
in the 310 area code. Wow, here in Los Angeles, somebody got a 310 area code. You're the winner. That's correct. You can stop sending your answers, folks. I'm going to get a million more, but you're the first one.
All right, so
Thank
Cliff is going
you.
to text back the winner so we can get their mailing address details.
I don't know. Maybe that's the Google number. That might be the Google number. But you're the first one, and you're the winner. And I'm going to respond to you and say, please reply with your mailing address because you are the winner.
There you go. So congratulations, whoever that was.
That was it. No, wait a minute. Hold on. Now we're getting some wrong answers. That's funny. That's funny. Very good. You're the winner.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so if
guys.
you said Sting, that is incorrect.
The answer is Herugrim. 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 That is the name of Theoden's sword. Movie fans would need to read the books. If you didn't read the books, then
wow.
sorry, mic drop. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. There is a Weta designed Herogrim, and you can buy it from, United Cutlery. There actually is a Herogrim.
United Cutlery?
Yeah. They make replicas. They
Interesting.
make replicas of Glamdring and Anduril. And they even made a chess set once.
Awesome.
Yeah, there it is. Completely licensed. Good stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this is the final few moments of our show.
It's an important sword because when Gandalf says, perhaps your hands would recover their strength if they held your sword. So, you kids should have known that. It's in the movie. Right, Justin? Yeah. All right.
So we are in the final few moments of our show, so I'm going to wrap everything up with our usual end-of-show
sorry.
thoughts. It's
Yes.
totally fine.
I'm so sorry.
Why are you apologizing? We
Yeah.
ramble all
It
day
is the end of the
every
show.
Tuesday.
But since we started a few minutes late, we might go just no, we're really done it.
We've got a really big show coming in after us today.
Oh,
so
no, this is an exciting thing. Just to remind everyone, Mark Bernardin and Mr. Kevin Smith are going to do their big show right here where we're standing at Scum and Villainy.
Literally, they're going to take my space.
They're getting everything ready here. It's going to be a big show.
We're the
tonight.
warm-up act.
Well, yeah. I guess you could say that. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna.
Can that go on my resume? I'm Kevin Smith's warm-up.
I'm gonna go up to Kevin and say, "Are you feeling a bit warmer now?"
Anyway, this weekend I've got D23 Expo for those of you that want to follow along in my adventures at D23 with big Disney Plus announcements, Marvel announcements, Lucasfilm announcements, Disney Parks, Disney Legends, all of that stuff. Follow me. Uncool Rockstar on any social media platform, or my Disney Instagram is Disney Observer. We're going to be talking about all things Disney all weekend.
Yes.
If for some reason you're in the chat and you're coming to D23 Expo this weekend, I want to see you. I will be working in the Ravensburger booth. They are a game company. We'll be demoing Disney Villainous and both of its expansions. And we'll have a bunch of Disney Villainous puzzles to do in our booth. So come and see me. I'll be in there all weekend.
Because the popularity of the earlier game, Disney Villains, and now the Villainous?
No, Villainous was the first game.
Oh, Villainous.
And then the first expansion was Wicked to the Core.
Oh,
and
yes.
the latest expansion is Evil Comes Prepared.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yes.
Evil Comes Prepared.
Yes.
Oh, that reminds me of a song by Scar.
And the Scar is our new character that's been added. So the new expansion gives us Scar, Yzma, and Ratigan.
I love Yzma.
I love Yzma.
She's great.
So if you're going to be at D23 this weekend, come see me. If not, if you want to follow some Disney adventures, Uncool Rockstar. That sounds spelled just like it sounds.
Absolutely. Disney Observer.
Yes, and Disney Observer on Instagram.
That's awesome
and
sauce.
if you want to follow along with Cliff's adventures as he gears up for Dark Crystal.
It's going to be at Quick Beam 2000. That would be the young Ent, who's a friend of Treebeard, who babysits Merry and Pippin, who would later go on to be the Hardy Boys of the Shire. I'm still getting back to that show. I'm sorry. I just think that's a fun idea. I also think that there's a lot going on, guys. The news will continue to be fluid. Let's just close the show in the way that we opened it, with some good, plain Hobbit sense. And I'm going to say what I need to say to get some plain Hobbit sense into y'all. And Chelsea, thank you. You got my back on this.
I don't even know what's happening right now.
We're telling you the news as we learn it. Things are liquid. Things are often mercurial in the world of development, of shows and productions, and that's why 5 seasons became 2. That's why Young Aragorn became Second Age, because these things are going to keep changing. But having access in a very unique way, I think that might be something so different from the industry standard of the way intellectual properties are handled. By Amazon Studios going to the Tolkien estate, it will continue to be liquid as they get different bits of rights to different things as they go along. So don't be surprised if some other interesting things come along, including other weird things like we didn't expect video games, or maybe an animated series that might come along that you never know. Something else around the bend might be involved in this bigger overall deal of what's going on with the new series. And who knows? I'm excited by the possibilities. So don't be coming at us in our mentions and saying, oh, you got Young Aragorn wrong, because at the time we actually did have it right.
I don't know who's saying that to you, because I don't see any of that. I get very lovely messages from people.
No, you should see our Twitter feed. I'm constantly reading a lot of the
People
feedback.
like to troll. Don't let it get to you.
No, but at the time we hit the news waves with the news.
But don't let it get to you. Like that. If we weren't wrong, move on. Don't feed the trolls. They'll just keep feeding you.
And if you do feed the trolls, make sure you put it under the bridge in a shiny little silver cup.
And make sure it's gluten free.
Make sure it's gluten free, and put it under the shady side of the bridge so that it won't melt. Okay? Just put little troll treats right under there so trolls can get them later. That's how you serve troll treats.
Thank you guys so much for watching this week. We will be back next week with D23 announcements, plus more Lord of the Rings announcements and all of the other things we regularly talk about here on theonering.net.
It is so great to have you all here. Thank you tonight, everybody. Wish you good luck until next Tuesday. Buenas noches y buena suerte.